Now, I found if you exercise while on camera, then there's no excuse to not do it. Hold each other accountable. So I'm going to start a new trend. Even if you're not that in shape, put your workouts on live, that way you can't get out of it. But why would you want to anyway? That's like trying to get away with not eating or not sleeping. Like, exercise is not about looking pretty, it's about a basic need that your body has. It's funny, I used to be in like the hipster left-wing community in Melbourne, and I used to believe that if you work out, that means you're like a jock that's just obsessed with their body. So that's why it's hard to judge someone, because people do change their core beliefs quite shockingly. Like someone at 21 versus 31, not the same people whatsoever. People do change. That old stereotype that people don't change, people do change, 100%. Isn't it amazing how many people, they live their life thinking that their values are their own, and maybe someone just wants to get rich off them thinking that those values are core to them. Like, for example, let's say you think that one of your core values is friendship. But what do you do with your friends? You know? You hang out, just make like small talk. What if even the notion of friends is something that's really been pushed in our minds through things like the show Friends, to say that your life should be about like this banter and this meaningless fun conversation with friends, when it isn't really that satisfying, you know? It's like you have a lollipop, it's good for like 3 minutes, but then the side effects are too much. It's like having fun, it's like prioritizing your friends over family or responsibility. It's good for a few minutes, but then it's not good for you in the long run. Isn't it funny, some people right now, they are paying to be at the gym. They are paying to be at the gym, where they're surrounded by all these people, and they're emitting all of their bad energy and their vaccines in their blood through the air. Whereas me, I'm here for free. And I can make a video, I can take my shirt off, I can drink water, like no matter how long I want, I can drink it in a funny way. Basically saying it's better to work out at home than the gym. Because when you work out, you get all this inspiration. You don't want to waste that inspiration when you're around an environment you can't be yourself. Like when I'm feeling inspired, I want to create. I don't want to be like squashing my personality to fit in with those around me. Have you guys noticed how people talk differently these days? Like I was going past a cafe this morning and I just heard these women speaking and I felt like they were talking like they're online. But they were face to face, but they were speaking to each other as if they were on memes. Like the style of conversation is really like unnatural. I guess some people these days have spent more time in their life online than they have face to face. So to them, online is literally real life. Now I was thinking about the idea of having like the Monday to Friday work week and then weekends, and then how you're supposed to party on weekends and Monday to Friday, you know, you're fully straight edged. I'm like, who makes that up? Because maybe that idea of the Monday to Friday work week, it's been designed to like keep you there forever. Because if you're constantly like thinking about the future, you're never really in the present. You're never really going to try and fix anything because you always got the future to look forward to. So maybe the weekend, the idea of the weekend, is the biggest like nail in the coffin that's preventing your self-actualization. Literally, maybe weekends is the reason why you're a loser. It's because you always have this idea in mind of having the weekend to escape from your mundane existence. And so every day you go to this work Monday to Friday and you're like, you squash your soul, but you think it's okay because you know you've got the weekend where you're getting fucked up to look forward to. So you never really fix that Monday to Friday because you have that weekend. It's like the idea of Centrelink. Like knowing you have that there, it really prevents you from being innovative. Like if you didn't have Centrelink, you'd be forced to use your entrepreneurial savviness and idea skills, networking to make it work. She was mad as hell last time, bro. Still with your girlfriend? No, I'm with my fiance, and once you're in a long-term relationship, you realize that you can have a very slight little tiff, but overall, collectively, you're so strong that you know that it's not going to do anything because you're already so close. And something that's really strong doesn't break that easily. She hates you being on TikTok, but... Yeah, but hate is a very strong word. Hate is something like you hate skin cancer, or you hate floods. But to say you hate me going, no, it's inappropriate. Maybe it's not ideal, but obviously no man is ideal. Like, I think women prefer a guy who's taking chances and likely to fail than a guy who's never taking chances and will never fail because he's never trying. Like, would you prefer a guy who's on TikTok and failing than a guy who's just already failed without even trying? And women like to have things to complain about against men, because at least it's something to bond over. It's like those purpose of life. The purpose of life, here it is. This will shock you. The purpose of life is to make your children and your community's life slightly better than the way you were raised. So you pick the best bits of your parents and you trim the fat. That's the entire purpose of life, is to slightly evolve ever so much more than your parents did. And the purpose of life is to create, is to support each other with our creation. You write a story, you draw a picture, you create a cake, you tell a story to someone at the cafe, the world's never going to be the same. The purpose of life is to progress and to support one another. See, the thing is, that's a very good question. What is the purpose of life? Because through Hollywood, we've been brainwashed to think that life's all about being the boss, being the CEO, taking home the hottest girl, taking home the biggest box of treasure. But that's not true, because the person at the top has the most responsibility. They have the most people trying to take them out. And they're stressed. They probably live the shortest. Sometimes being second, third, or fourth in charge is even better. If you're second, third, fourth in charge, you can still have a barbecue on the weekend with the kids. You know, you haven't got phone calls 24/7. Sorry, it's actually, my phone's a bit hard to read. You move now, you move for us. V mu you. You woo. You woo. It's a W. You. My wife gets with driver. It's a W. You woo. I don't understand what the question is. UWU. What could that mean? United World Understanding. United World Understanding. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. To have united world understanding is very important, to be cross-culturally valid. Because what's the point of knowing a topic really well if you can't describe it to cross-culturally, to different ages? Any thoughts on how to overcome bipolar? Yeah, I'll give you the number one advice to how to overcome bipolar. Careful now, it's a secret. Listen. It's about viewing it as a positive, not a negative. Look at the positive traits. The positive traits of bipolar is you get that hypomania, you get that excitement, you get that ecstatic euphoria developing from the core of your being for free. For free. All you have to do is be young and healthy and you can capitalize on that mania and turn it into something of greatness. And the times of darkness, when you're sad, use that time for rumination, because the times when you're in the pits of hell, when you're feeling in despair, relish it in its beauty, in its entirety, for a short time. Gain the skills from that way of being, and then come back down to base level. So, any burden can be seen as a positive depending on your mindset. I mean, Kanye West is supposed to be a bipolar. How many people's ears have filled with the sweet symphonies of joy from his creation because he turned his bipolar into art? What if he just stayed at home medicated, played video games on Uber Eats? Everyone would be missing out on flashing lights. You spin me out. Hoodie or helmet? Hoodie's a helmet. I don't understand the question. Bonds, tradies or alpha? That's irrelevant. That's a stupid question. That's not a tough question. Thanks, man. I'm actually an artist. Been struggling with it recently. Appreciate the wisdom. Yeah, I think of it as a gift. But like Peter Parker's uncle said in Spider-Man 2000, great power comes great responsibility. If you have a gift, if you have the gift of bipolar, then you have to understand that there comes with great responsibility. It's a weapon, and you have to have a license for that weapon. You have to keep it tamed. I like hoodies. For some reason, people have a real problem with hoodies. They're associated with like the thug class. I personally appreciate a good hoodie. Let me read some of these. Do you think God is real or simply a means of establishing order? Well, to answer that question, I would have to say take a look around. I would say take a look around at the beauty of this world and say, ask me again. You need to go to Zion National Park. You need to go to Daintree Rainforest in Queensland. You need to go to the Pinnacles in Northwest Australia. You need to climb Soraksan in Japan. You need to go for a morning run in Seoul when you're 16 years old, after going to like your first major party and kissing a girl. You need to claw your way out of a pit of despair all on your own, and then tell me that question. Basically what I'm saying is, it's the world's too beautiful. And that everyone has their own version of God. And that the Christian version of God does seem quite rational. The idea of don't fuck your neighbor, don't kill people, try not to be lazy, like try to be kind to people, doesn't sound that barbaric to me. And people say they're atheist, is that everyone worships someone. But you don't have to, most important thing I'll say today is that you don't have to identify to any group. You don't have to say, I'm this or that. You can have little bits of each. Because there's a very big danger of being groupthink, people go into teams, and that shuts off critical thinking. You scared? Meet up. Scared of what? Meet who? I'm sorry, but if you want to establish a connection, you have to have formalities of sentence structure in place. So for example, you start with the title, like who you're referring to, me, and no, I'm not interested in talking to you. It's a very strange way to start a sentence. Meet up, and meet up for what? Be specific. Are you in Australia? Are you a man or a woman? What do you want to meet up for? I think you're a very smart individual, which people seem to confuse you with being crazy. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, I will, sir. But I consider it a compliment to not fit in with a world of chronic mundanity. Like if I'm in a... I'd much rather be remembered for being weird than being boring. And what are you comparing it to? Like what is normal? Is it like like just football discussion? Like girls, you know? Crypto? But also, if you understand human behavior, it's more difficult to be upset by like trolls, whatever, because I understand where they're coming from and it makes sense. If you see someone who is better than you or something, it's a natural instinct to want to cut them down because that protects yourself. Like if I see a guy who's better looking than me, smarter, harder working, more funny, more spiritual, more generous, better control of his emotions, discipline, my instinct is to just find something like, oh, daddy's money, or oh, I bet he can't cook, or oh, I bet he's like a womanizer. But then I realize, no, hold on. Learn from him. Yes, this person's better than you. Thank God there's people out there to look up to. Because when you're in a small community and you're the best out of your community, you're never going to improve yourself because you're always comparing to your surroundings. Exactly. I'm glad you like what you see. It's nice to appreciate the fine things in life. Healthy competition, that's so true. Like during COVID lockdowns, I spent so much time at home that I thought I was smart because I'm only comparing myself to like 5 people in my life. But when you go overseas, you travel, you work, you bond with people, you're humbled. and you realize how small you are. So you really have to you really have to put yourself out there and focus on marketing if you want to do anything of greatness in this world, because there's so much competition. Like, the more you travel the world, the more you realize life's all about marketing. It's not about talent, it's about putting yourself out there, because there's 100,000 guys just like me in this world. Same personality, same drive, same ambition, same spiritual gift, same genetics. But all it takes is one little thing, you know? Like, and it's a ripple effect, because see the flower? See, there's a poppy that's slightly above the other flowers? It's going to get a little bit more sunlight, isn't it? And it's going to stand out. And it's going to get more and more sunlight, because all it takes is just a little bit above the rest, and then you get more nutrients, and then the exponential growth is amazing, because then once you're above the rest, you can get all the sunlight you want. And then the only limit is your own potential. But the hardest thing is to just get the flower above the other heads. Otherwise, you're never going to get enough nutrients to actually grow to full potential. That's why I realized that people get so caught up on skill, but what they don't understand is you're better off getting a combination of skill, marketing ability and likability. Because I know so many people are highly skilled, but they're shit marketing skills, and their skill is just undernourished, just lying in the cool, dark, moldy area, just kind of crippled against their own potential, because they never got that initial sunlight they needed. And also, it is if you look at it from the perspective of a socialist perspective, communist perspective, I don't know who Anna Paul is, I don't care. In a socialist perspective, it makes sense to keep all the flowers the same height, because the entire field of flowers is never going to rebel against the entire farming system if they don't see one flower grow to full potential. If they're all capped at 30 centimeters, and then they're never going to see one flower rise from the rest, they're fine. They're fine with their meaningless existence. So, but it makes sense, if you're running the country, it makes sense to encourage socialist style of thinking, to encourage tall poppy syndrome, because it's functional, it's practical in a society that needs building, where the predominant of the power is in the upper working class. Like Soviet Union, England, Australia, at these times in history when they needed a lot of industrial workforce, there was a parasitic thought notion of tall poppy syndrome to encourage mediocrity, because it makes sense. Whereas in America, originally, they needed a lot of entrepreneurs, they needed a lot of inventors. So their culture encouraged aggressive ambition. But at least they're doing something, right? Like, I used to think in my radical left-wing youth that the idea of this bohemian, romantic, artistic way of existence, of just floating by, just philosophizing and spending time by the lake, smoking a cigarette, having a picnic, hitting on art students, that's what life's about. Because what is the point of life? It is meaningless. That is a parasitic thought notion right there, my friend. So who's Anna Paul? You know, the other day I was inside a car and I was looking at people on the street, and I've seen like there's these dudes sometimes, they work out, you can tell they work out, but they look kind of strange because they haven't done any real work. Like they don't, you know, build anything or fix anything or mow any lawns or give massages to their woman or anything. So they're kind of like puffy. They're not like actual work muscles. They're like, see, me, I'm kind of puffy, but you can see I've done some work. Like you can see in like my physique that it's real work in there. It's not just mirror muscles. And it looks really odd. If someone just has mirror muscles, it looks gross. How did you be so smart? Well, you're born. Your genetics. Like, she took a real risk because my dad was like a struggling artist, and my mum was like drop dead gorgeous, really like good sense of humor, right? She could have had anyone, but she chose my dad, and he was like a struggling artist, but he's smart as fuck. So we never had much money growing up, but at least we've got a brain, you know? Like, she could have married someone because he was good with money, but then we'd all be boring motherfuckers. So I guess it's because like I've got a really good combination of my mum's side and my dad's side. Actually, you know, she's got like this her own talents, and her fused together with my father's talents, fused in with me being born in the 90s. It's just the perfect cocktail for greatness. Because I was just young enough to go without the internet, but I'm just young enough to be able to utilize it as a skill, not be my life. And I'll tell you a secret too. I used to do a few experiments at universities. I volunteered to be a subject at Swinburne University to take these unreleased probiotics. And I've never been the same since. I had these, what's the word for when they haven't been studied on the field correctly? Well, what greatness have I provided the universe? Well, guess what? I've got about 1,000 weird, wacky, funny, interesting videos on TikTok. Acousticism? No, sir. No, I just took some really interesting probiotics once, and since then I've just opened up different parts of my brain, and I could just have this like incredible confidence and flow state that's really comes from nowhere. See, the thing is, I don't know. I was given like a blank label. It was experimental probiotics, but I know they were German. And also TMS, transcendental magnetic stimulation. TMS is a tool used in neuroscience to activate parts of the brain that perhaps are lacking. And I've also had experimental TMS research on myself. And one more thing, I had a near-death experience a few years ago, and since then I haven't been the same. I got bogged in the desert for a couple of days when they closed the borders. Car got stuck, and in the middle of Australia, rode a wheel, you know, down to my last little bottle of water, stuck in the desert, and then got out, and then drove back to city a couple of days later. Since then, never been the same. No, I didn't get to a point where I nearly died. It's just that I had already imagined I was going to die. So just accepting your death. Once you've accepted your death, then something changes in you. Sorry if I look angry, but this is just my normal face. I've just, unfortunately, I've just got this face. I'm not trying to give off any impression. This is just what God has given me, and I'm just doing the best with the tools I've been provided. Is that better? No, Vicky, this isn't about gains, Vicky. This is about just doing a mindful activity so I can be in the present. So your body gives a natural dopamine release when you're exercising. I'm not doing this for gains, okay? I'm doing this for your gain. I'm doing this to be a patriot. Because every time I exercise, I'm making myself a better cog in the system to serve my country. Now you've got to change your oils, got to keep yourself sharp so you can serve the great southern land. Because I've travelled the world, my friend. This is a beautiful nation, and the sharper you are, the more you can give back to your God-given community. And there's no gift like the gift of giving. The more you serve your community, the more things are just thrown at you. All these possibilities, fucking chance, opportunity, friendship, love, health, opportunity, future, prosperity, beauty, awe, excitement. All this happens when you understand about the gift of giving. My career, I work in community mental health. I work as a lived experience worker, whereby I facilitate psychosocial educational groups for people in Queensland who have been connected to the government somehow. I can't really tell you too much because I like my job and I respect my job, and part of the criteria of my job is that it's confidential. I don't mention any names or specifics, which is understanding because I'm dealing with sensitive, vulnerable people. And if I had family as a client of mine, I would appreciate it if all of that was kept personal. It's private, sorry. But I actually just started a job as a mental health support worker with my own business. And I've never had a bad review. Not one single bad review in my business. I've never had a client, never had a bad review. Never lost. Not one complaint ever in the history of my business. Not a single complaint. But my main bread and butter is dialectical behavioral therapy. Dialectical behavioral therapy is a combination of Western scientific method of psychoanalysis and behavioral psychology combined with Eastern Confucius techniques of Buddhist meditation. And it's about practical skills that you learn when you're at a base level, so you're in a heightened first response to emotional state, in your tool belt, ready to give yourself support in that crisis situation. It is indeed. And I'm so happy that someone knows about it. What's your name? Dirch. Cool. I feel so happy. Oh, Darcy. Nice to meet you, mate. Well, I bet you, Darcy, that your mum, as a sensitive woman, I guarantee you that she'd be an interesting woman. Right, well, one thing you need to remember, Darcy, is that condition, it doesn't define you. And you've got to be really careful with the wording. Because just because you may have something, it doesn't mean you are this. And I guarantee you that 80% of people, if you sat them down and picked their brain for 6 hours, they could be diagnosed with a serious ailment. So just be very careful, because there's a fetishization about overdiagnosis these days. And so you are not your condition. And I personally would say I have elements of personality and bipolar personality, because I have episodes of extreme mania and melancholy. However, it is not characterized for long term, as in it's not a week-long episode, it's usually for like half an hour, which is more congruent with a simple variety of emotions. But there's a cultural issue in the Western world where there's a victim consciousness and there's a promotion of victimhood, and people are encouraged to feel like a victim because they feel guilt for their cultural successes as a Caucasian person in a first world nation. So people are self-sabotaging themselves and their abilities because they feel white guilt. So they'll purposely say, I'm crazy, I'm fucked up, just cut me out of society, because they feel shame at being born in their milky white skin. And that's a huge problem, because your condition doesn't define you, and it shouldn't be something that you are proud of. Yes, there can be benefits to these conditions, but it's not something you want to define you. It's like, if I didn't like cheese, I wouldn't be like, hi, I'm Chevy, I don't like cheese. It doesn't matter. It only matters if it's a debilitating, like borderline personality. You can still be 100% functional in this world and never have anyone have to know that. It's private. And a lot of people could be misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed, and the best thing is not to get caught up in it, because like DBT, it doesn't even matter what issue if you have borderline personality disorder, or if you just have some kind of addiction issues, it doesn't matter, because the treatment is all the same. And people can get so caught up in rumination about the diagnosis that it's actually detrimental. That's the same with me, only last very short bursts. Yeah. Yeah, so you wouldn't be characterized as manic depressive, because you're supposed to be, if you're manic depressive, it means that you're manic for a week and then you're depressed for a week. But As me, I'll be manic for like 30 minutes on a Friday morning, and I'll be depressed for like an hour on a Tuesday afternoon, and then I'll be good for like 4 days. And that's a normal. It's just that people get so caught up with the wording, and it's very dangerous. This is so light now. 18 kilos. How you going, mate? How's things? So when you ask what kind of questions I want, that's ridiculous, because obviously I want you to ask questions that you want to know. I want you to look inside your heart. What has been burning inside you? What are you too afraid to say? Here is a place where you can ask me anything, except for anything about like sexual stuff, because I don't feel comfortable with that. Yeah. Okay, Darcy, but just be really mindful to get lots of opinions, okay? Because end of the day, we're all human beings. We make mistakes, and a lot of people get need a lot of long-term evaluation. And the thing is, we know about the Telegram. This is so light. So the thing with borderline personality disorder is that it can never be cured. So what's the point of going to a doctor, right? Because studies show that medicine is not effective in borderline personality in comparison to DBT. So, I mean, you can go to the doctor if you want, but a doctor's not going to heal you. When it comes to the majority of these conditions, like generalized anxiety, borderline personality, bipolar, majority of the work is done inside. And the thing is, if you do that work yourself, then it's a powerful tool. If you rely on medication, then it's just sedated, and then you're not going to get the good benefits as well, you know. And of course it has some bad side effects, but it comes with good as well, you know. It's like those dudes who are like super tall and buff, just naturally, like those 7-foot BFGs, big friendly giants. They have to take more allowances, that they have to be more softly spoken, because the fact that they are so big and menacing, people will just want to fight them. So they have to purposely change their behavior because they know that they are different. So how do you get your grass green? Rain? Your Telegram? Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention. I know people just, they can get upset when I, your Telegram? Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention. I know people just, they can get upset when I speak kind of serious, and they're intimidated by that, so they just want to say something silly because it's, it highlights their own inadequacies when they see someone pouring their heart out. Now, I'm not the most skilled in these topics, but I've got a lot of confidence and drive. And that combination of confidence and drive, as well as some skill, can make me more effective than someone who's 10 times more skilled than me. Isn't that right? This is so light. I can see that you're very passionate about mental health like I am. Thinking about pursuing a career. How do you get your grass so green? Rain. In helping people as I love it, but I fear I'm not smart enough. Well, let me tell you something. Just the way you're speaking, it seems like you're smart enough. From my experience at university, just the most important thing is going to all the extra classes, like the stay back 5 minutes, speak to the tutor. And don't work any more than 1 or 2 days a week at your part-time hustle. When you're at uni, if you're doing psychology, no more than one day, hopefully. 1 day a week work, because you've always got your whole life to make money. This is very serious. You've got your whole life to make money. When you're at uni, don't work so hard at part-time jobs, because that will ruin your ability to study effectively and get a part of the university experience. There's lots of clubs to be a part of, societies, and you don't want to miss that. That's where all the magic is. It's through networking. So, piece of advice, if you're going to go to uni, make sure you don't burn the candle at both ends. Don't work a full-time job like you're studying, like like I do. Yeah, well, a really good piece of advice would be to become a mental health support worker. You can just do your Cert 4 or in community services, the TAFE, or aged care mental health, and then you can do mental health support work. It gives you a taste of just having been in that role, and then you can see if it's worth going on to do further studies and do a whole bachelor in psychology. Do you look after your grass or do you pay someone? No, I look after my grass myself, sir. I take great pride in looking after my own grass. Thank you. But it's that dude who was just saying he wants to think of getting into mental health. Make sure you don't stunt your own potential, because a lot of people, they never aim high enough. Like, they've got such low self-esteem with themselves that they're happy just to be at the basic level. And there's a lot of people in high qualified positions who don't deserve to be there. And that sucks, because there's how many people would be so effective in that role, but they don't go for that position. Because they've been brainwashed to be part of the tall poppy syndrome, where they're like, oh, I want to be small, because then everyone will be happy if I'm just small. Like, a lot of people don't want to get into positions of authority because, like, oh, I don't want the power, I don't want to be like known as a boss because, I hate my boss. But the reason why you should want to be a boss or get into a position of high authority is because there's so many people who are in that position who don't deserve to be there. If you have the motivation of wanting to do the best you can for you, screw that. The reason why you should want to aim for your best version of yourself is so that people don't deserve to get there. Like, for example, how many of my clients say that they go to a psychologist, the whole time they're not listening, they're yawning, all they say is, have you taken your medication? And they just kind of stretch it out. You can see that the primary focus is financial. They're not heart-based at all. And that breaks my heart, because I haven't become a psychologist, I never bothered to, and people who did bother to be psychologists, they don't deserve it, a lot of them. And it breaks my heart that because people, they're desperate, right? And it sucks because it pisses me off, the idea of someone in a position of authority who doesn't deserve it. It's one of my greatest things that makes me passionate is power-hungry people don't deserve it. Because I'm obsessed with the pursuit of power and in average society, and how people's obsession with power I find obsessive. And there's a real sickness, like you're almost worshipping a god when you worship power. I'm not sure what god it is, but you're definitely worshipping some kind of god when you worship the power. Do you rate your grass? How do you get your grass? Aerate your grass. No, I just mow it once every week or so. That's about it. You know, I really want to figure out a way to get a sense of community. Like, I was just thinking, how lonely I am. I was just looking over my neighbour's fence and thinking, fuck me. They got a big house. It was so nice to entertain people. I just want to get together with people, you know what I mean? Any advice on intimacy struggles? Like, I struggle to get close to people. You struggle to get close to people, so right now I'm trying to think, okay, do you mean romantically or just in terms of friendship? And I need to know like your cultural background and history, because like certain parts of the world, like in Russia, it's seen as normal to not connect to people, you know. Australians are very trusting. Americans even more trusting. But when you say you can't get close to people, is that really that big of an issue? You're in Queensland. No, I'm not fasting today. Okay. Right. Now, that could be, have you been scorned in the past? Have you been scorned by a primary caretaker or a possible life mating partner? Because I've seen this trend now, like I avoid any attempt and run away. My dad's a narcissist. So, if your dad's a narcissist, so you say, would that mean that you had purposely kind of stunted your personality potential because you want to end up like him? So you're purposely like self-critical, overly self-critical, because you don't want to be like your father? Or do you think you have tendencies like him? Do you think you have any danger of absorbing your father's traits of narcissism? So do you think maybe you purposely put up a wall in order to not allow people to get too close to you because you're fearful that you will do to others what your father did to you? I may have tendencies like him, but I kind of experience a fear. Right, but I'm not defending your father's actions, but just from a dialectic perspective, can you see the benefits historically of having narcissistic tendencies? So for the whole thing of narcissism, it means that his level of confidence can't match his actual skill level. But what if the skill level almost matched the confidence level? Is it really a debilitating condition if he's only slightly off? Like the meter of his confidence versus his skill level, if it's only slightly off, perhaps he was trying a technique and he's a failed technique. You know, he tried to make it, but he didn't. And obviously narcissists will like view others as products for their own personal goals, but was there any other factors involved in there? Was any did he have any issues with addiction, or did he have any issues like with his style of parenting from his parents? Was there anxious attachment? Was there separation there? Were they clingy, or were they like distant, or? I guess I learned from him because he's always been emotionally unavailable. Ah. So your dad's a narcissist and your mom has borderline personality disorder. Dude. His parents abandoned him and he had to work to survive. So from his perspective, he was, okay, you know how in, sorry, you don't know this, but in DBT, there's this thing called wise mind, where you have your hyper-rational mind and you have your emotion mind. Now, you want to aim for the middle, because it's more optimal for existence to have the perfect balance of emotion plus rational thinking together. But if your father, if he was raised from an emotionally distant father, he purposely had to study his own emotions to deal with the trauma of his anxious attachment separate parents. So if he did not squash and disassociate his emotions, it would have been too much. No, I don't. And it's kind of strange just to say that. Like, just even if I did, can't you just enjoy the show? Just shut the fuck up and enjoy the ride. And so that's why I love DBT, because it shows how you can be wrong and right at the same time. So yes, your father may have been a bad, distant father who constantly looked after himself, and that is characterized as narcissism. But in his defense, that was the only way to deal with the fact that his parents were so distant. And I've actually went through this rabbit hole recently with my cousin, about my grandfather, who was like the patriarch of the family, Ken Morgan. And we established that most of this comes from World War II. So most of the family trauma comes from, in the Western world, from people dying for bank wars. So a lot of the family dynamics can be related to just the clusterfuck of the Great Wars from the last century. It's fascinating, but that's literally like one of the main developments to the toxic aspects of Western society. Everything connects to the Great Wars. It affected everyone. And trauma can obviously go through intergenerationally. And it wasn't just the trauma of seeing dead people in the war. It was when they came back and they said, why did the war start? What was the motivation? The countries funded it. That's what it's, Your relatives served in World War I, World War II. Fuck yeah. Fucking knew it. At what cost? Look at these wars. We're rich now because of it. Like, we have the ability to create lots of loans. So those wars are basically all about credit. They're all about usury and about literally governments being able to print out money from with no gold-based standard. So the entire reason for the majority of people's mental health conditions now in 2024 is literally so America can push credit on the world. Fascinating. But I would say, Darcy, instead of focusing on like your family history and their conditions, focus on practical things. So DBT is fantastic resources, things like stop skills, basically just practical things that you can learn when you're level-headed. So if you are at a time when you need to have emotions, or you're emotionally deficit, then you've got these skills in play. But also, it's about service. It's about trying to aim for sobriety, to have your own family, wife and children, strong community, and work shall set you free. Keep yourself sharp, and educate yourself, and find a good community. Because this obsession with focusing on what's wrong with you, it's not effective. Like statistics show that the worst thing you can do is to ruminate. So the idea of focusing on what's wrong with your life and your past is literally the worst thing you can do. And so if you look after yourself, like if you aim for sobriety, if you eat a balanced diet, if you have enough sleep, if you try and have some love in your life, and and you live by those principles, then you just naturally get better at handling adversity. It's just quite simple, People like to overcomplicate things, but it's literally the things your grandma used to do for health. It's like have strong community, simple diet, you get enough sleep, drink enough water, giving to your community, That's why I really like those, I went to South Australia, and there was these apparently there was these nuns there, and they were so worshipped by the indigenous people because they did so much. They weren't just sitting there praying, they were out there, and they were practically getting their hands in the trenches and physically doing stuff. That's how you give inner peace, is by being a part of your community somehow. It's not thinking about your problems. Guys, trust me, I spent 15 years thinking about my problems. Struggling about substance abuse is I can't stop no matter how hard I try. Well, it's very tricky. The one thing I would say in that department is that a piece of advice I got given once when I was doing a driving instructor. I was doing some lessons with this dude in Mandurah. This rough old dude. He's A1 driving school. He was every time you buy a drink, you give 50% of your money to the government. And it really made me think, dude, I'm making these corporate fat cats in suits rich just because I'm trying to get fucking Dutch courage to talk to some Sheila, Basically, it's if you want to understand why you have issues with substances, just remember that there's societal powers that want you to do that. That you're making someone rich and happy every time that you overindulge and hurt yourself with substances. You're making someone else rich. You're making someone else have access to your family. If you're not strong, if you're weak from being poisoned, someone can hurt your sister, hurt your mum, corrupt people in your life, your friends. There's always someone will benefit from your misery. How you going, Molly? Yeah, because sometimes people get sick and tired of thinking about themselves. So if you want to think of a different motivation to improve yourself, it's not about yourself, it's about not making some schmuck feel good about themselves. Think about, let's say if you have a problem with drugs and that drug dealer, he uses that money to get high-class prostitutes, and then those girls never bother to marry, and so they end up just buying lots of Gucci bags and sitting alone in their penthouse crying themselves to sleep. Get it? So there's a ripple effect. You buy drugs, you make a drug dealer rich, he uses it to get escorts. Escorts never quit, they stay in this crappy job they hate, and society continues to crumble. How's things, Molly? What's on your mind? Spit it out. I'm not shy. Yeah, well, I don't know much about speed, but what I do know is that for many, many decades in the Western world, as in America, Canada, America, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, we were under the impression from one study with rats that you got heroin water and you got regular water in a rat cage. That we used to think that rats given the option, they will just have the heroin water until they die. They'll stop eating, they'll stop playing, they'll just keep going at it until they die. And then they replicated that study years later, and they found that if rats are in a cage with like things to play on and other rats to fuck and good food and like little, you know, trees to dance in and sing and be happy, then they barely touch the heroin water. So basically, it's... Oh, hey honey. I'm just on a live. How are you? How was the gym? You look very fresh. Skin looks very tight. You don't look very hot though.
No, not too
Is everything okay?
Yeah, I got some food, so if you like.
Ah, not really.
You're not hungry?
No. Well, what did you buy?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. No, tell me. What did you buy? Katya. No, I live in a tent. See? Yeah, so basically, so for decades we thought that like cocaine and heroin, these kind of drugs, they're so addictive and terrible that the animals would just have no power over it. But then we realized that what the issue was is that it just has shit lives. So animals, any animal will abuse drugs if they have a shit life. So basically, how did the rat's life improved? They had community, they had activities, purpose, love. So if you have these things in place, then there's no need to hurt yourself. And also it's about understanding the cultural aspects. So look at the music from the 70s, 80s and 90s. It's always encouraging men to rebel against society by being hedonistic and partying too hard. But the thing is, 90% of men had the exact same theory, that they're all being rebels by being like, oh, I'm gonna get drunk on a Friday and, you know, go to the pub and start a fight and just grab some girl's ass and like, yeah, I'm a man. But they were trained to think that's the version of success. So there's psychological operation to keep people sick. And in Australia in particular, there's a huge problem with alcohol and drugs because it's part of our identity of being like, you know, the cheeky larrikin type of like, oh, I'm gonna be out, you know, take life to the excess and grab life by the balls and be like a risk taker. But the thing is, you can actually take more risks if you are sharp and you're not actually being a gangster by getting wasted because you're snubbing your clarity. And there's 1,000 times more possibilities once you get out of the gutter. Basically saying there's a vested interest in keeping young men and women in the party world, and it's not even that fun. Like abusing things like, you know, AOD, it's really not that much fun compared to like the aspects of contra middle class society. Like when you get into things like there's so many activities and communities and families and places to travel that it's like overwhelming. The world is so beautiful that the crippling nature of abusing substances is radically boring compared to the potential. I don't talk to people named Ben. How you going, Kelly? How's things? How's the hubby? How's your health? You learnt anything new lately? Do you believe in quiet borderline personality disorder? I don't know what that means, quiet. What I believe in is that when you focus on what Owen Benjamin says of focus on the good, the true and the beautiful. So focus on things like community, family, health and service, and don't overfixate on all these little things. Like, unless you're trained to be a psychiatrist, why are you spending so much time researching these conditions when it's not effective? It's like, instead of expressing emotions outward, you express it inwards. Well, I don't think there's any general rule that people express emotions inwards or outwards. It's just that some people are more sensitive to extreme emotions, and some people haven't been taught the skills on how to harness those emotions. As simple as that. Because obviously, if you're more sensitive to emotions, it means you're capable of having extreme high emotions and extreme low emotions. Which means when you're fun, you're great to be around. But when you're sad, it means you're really sad. You suck to be around. But it doesn't mean you're a better or worse person. It just means that when you're sad, just be mindful that maybe you're being a little bit excessive. And maybe when you're happy, realize some others don't find that as happy as you do. So just be careful, because being too happy can be just as dangerous as being too sad. Like, you've seen ecstatic children, right? When children are hyper on sugar and running around, they could literally trip up on their own foot and then just kick themselves in the head, you know what I mean? And a lot of people may be undiagnosed BPD, but they just channel their emotions into their work. I think about all these artists, right? A lot of them, like Kurt Cobain, or More Sheba. A lot of these bands, they put their pain and suffering into their work, which is beautiful. I think it'd be better to be more sensitive, because I'd say I'm could be both. Sometimes I'm numb, sometimes I'm overly sensitive. And I'd say it's better to be overly sensitive, because yes, you may have real heavy lows, but the highs are just so wonderful that it counteracts the lows. You know what I'm saying, dog? Yeah. And I think that every emotion is beautiful. I think anger, sadness, excitement, despair, every single emotion is beautiful in its own way. Think of all these, how much skill anger can give you. Like, if you're angry and then you try and dig a hole, you're 10 times better. More fuel. There's this, here's something I want to tell you right now. There's this huge toxic mentality now whereby people think that there's only 2 emotions you can ever live in. And they're if you show one little glimpse of anger, it's off with their head. I'm bruh, are you the emotion police right now? Are you policing my emotions? Who died and gave you authority as queen of emotions? That's not fair. Every emotion has its place. Right. Well, that's very kind of you, but I'm a deeply flawed person too. It's just that I'm having a good day and you're seeing the best of me. I'm gonna go home after this, I'm gonna silently fucking cook fish, and then I'm gonna put the dishes away, and then I'm gonna be just thinking about how I'm a fucking loser, and then it's gonna be like, just in bed tossing and turning, just thinking about how poor I am, how shit I am. So it's not always sunshine and roses. But I found it's really important to have a little bit of sadness, like a half an hour to an hour per day. I think it's fantastic. I got these on the roadside pickup a long time ago. How you going? Yeah, I think it's really important because like on the weekend, I have to confess, on the weekend I was a bit cheeky. I had a lot of indulgences, and it was kind of shit because it was too relaxed. Like I went for a big hike in the morning and stuff, but I didn't do anything that was really hard, and I felt such shame for not doing anything that was hard. So, what am I saying? Yeah, that like negative emotions are necessary and beautiful because thanks. You need them. Like you do need to have these negative emotions to appreciate the good. It's just absolutely makes perfect sense. If you're constantly at a state of like just 5 out of 10, you never get to a point of being like a 9 out of 10. Whereas me, I'm usually around like a 3 to 6, but when I have those three days or 4 days, that allows me to have those 7, 8, 9 days. If I was always at the middle, I'd never have those moments of sheer ecstasy and joy because I've constantly in a mediocre state. But when I do things that are really tough, work 2 jobs, like try and mediate like a relationship and a wedding and all this stuff, you need to have the pain to appreciate the joy. I was thinking for a restaurant, right? Hear me out. I was thinking for a restaurant, an experience. So I've been in hospitality for many years. Yeah, I was thinking, imagine you go to a restaurant and like you have to do some work when you're there. Like you have to like pass a test. You need to like draw a painting or like go on the exercise machine, or you need to sing a song with pure emotion. So some kind of work that'll actually make you enjoy the meal 10 times more. Because just the idea of just rolling into a car and just throwing something and then just having the waitress like throw it all in front of you, just like feed me. It's unnatural because think about our ancestors, right? You're out there in the woods, you see a duck, and you're like, and you grab the duck, and you take it home, and you put it in your bag, and you finally get home, and you clean it, and you cook it, everyone's talking, and you're laughing, and you wash it. By the time you eat, you just put like 3 hours of effort in, so you fucking want that duck. But, now we're like rich, whatever, we go to a restaurant, we're like, here we are now, entertain us. And that's not natural. Like humans want to work. We want to have pain and suffering. To a medium amount of suffering is ideal. 4 to 6 is ideal of suffering. So I love my sadness and my anxiety. I love it. It has its place. But I wouldn't want it for more than an hour or 2 a day. That's enough. And I wouldn't want to be happy all day. It doesn't make sense. And also, people have to drive. They have to do grocery shopping. You don't want someone to be happy all the time. It's weird. You don't want someone like, this driving like the post office guy. He's just like, I'm about to deliver a letter. It's fucking weird. I mean, the human body is designed almost perfectly. Like, the wide range of emotions that you feel are usually there to tell you something. Like, if you're feeling anxiety, maybe your body's like, there's something in your life. Fix your fucking life. And obviously, or if someone's being like really cold and indifferent, you can see it from their perspective. It's defense mechanism. Obviously, no emotions at all, because it's been in their benefit to disassociate in the past. It's been in their advantage to deny their emotions. And obviously, in this world too, because our society is based on debt, it supports lies. It supports the dampening of emotions. That's why people with borderline personality have such a tough life, because this world encourages people to be emotionless. Because to be an expert in sales, you need to be emotionless. You need to not care about the other person so that you can maximize the profit. And so it's a real catch-22, because as a man, you're judged solely as your ability to produce. But then you also have this burden, this ethical dilemma of responsibility and karma, laws of attraction. So you got to make money no matter what. And then it's like, have emotions and have ethics. So which one do you listen to? Money, ethics. Money, ethics. But normally, money wins because you have to provide. And this society is based on debt. So it's based on lies. It's based on the idea of it's okay to lie to you because I want you to pay 30 grand for a $15,000 car. So obviously, do you see it? Do you see how society encourages emotionally deficiency? Like, men are particularly emotionally stunted because we have more pressure to provide. And obviously as well, women are more likely to have borderline personality because it's in their benefit to have emotions, because you need to have emotions to appreciate the beauty of a child. If women didn't have emotions, they wouldn't give a shit about an infant. Why would anyone waste their time having babies? Human race will be over. I don't understand why people ask me to be a guest without even saying hello first. Our ancestry is Irish, British, and Scottish, and a little sprinkle of Chinese. All the best countries. International bankers, I think they're providing a service, and I think that there's always a choice to accept evil. Vampires have to be invited in, and international bankers have allowed us to have this illustrious life where I'm talking to you on an iPhone 14, whatever it is, 15 Pro Max, and I'm still paying it off, like it's through a loan, you know, it's through like the Optus. So if it wasn't for that international banker, then we wouldn't be communicating right now. You know, playing with my kids somewhere, like playing Monopoly, you know, with like my cousins and stuff, you know what I mean? Scandinavian. Yeah, well, you know, my mum, she was born in Newcastle, which is northeast England, and that was the main area which was raped and pillaged by the Scandinavians. So you and I, we still could have blood relatives, my friend. JFK. Ah, well, he was a gangster. He was an Irish thug. Trust me, I know. And his dad, his parents, they were moonshine salesmen. They were liquor merchants. They were profiteering off the intoxication of the people, and they were going against the law. And if everyone did that, then we'd all be barbarians. And JFK, I don't trust him by the way he looks, because every action you take in his life is written in your face. And his videos with his family were very strange. And I know that he had a sister who had a lobotomy. And that tells you enough. What about JFK as a man? He let his sister get a lobotomy. He is not a sound gent in my books, let me tell you. Martin Luther King, let me tell you something about him. The African American community was doing really well before JFK. They had their own cultural differences that they relished, and there was none of this victim consciousness, this obsession with being different. With being like, with the past. It's not, and it's, you know, at me, I'm a mindfulness facilitator. Mindfulness is my business. Therefore, to be thinking about 1600s is not effective. Considering Africans come to the United States now, they fucking kill it, bro. They kill it. So, I'm not a fan of Martin Luther King, because he kept saying he wanted everyone to act the same. He wanted a homogenized culture and create, he wanted to create a one world culture. He wants everyone to act like these fucking white people. Like, bruh, let the African Americans have their own culture. Why do they have to act white? You know? Why are you pushing your values onto them? Segregation. Well, I think that segregation, if you look at it in a rational perspective, that's how you keep culture alive. You don't want this hot pot where it's just all one mixed in together, because you have lots of identity. No one knows who they are. And that I like Japan to be Japan. I want Iceland to be Iceland, because it's beautiful on its own. If everyone had this like Long Beach, California style thinking of like, you know, this just live for the beach and live for this liberal like orgy fest of just Dionysian, hedonistic, permanent state of euphoria, of just like someone else print out the money, it's who cares, it's war, someone else's problem. That is not effective to push this value, because who's to say that Californication is the greatest thing in the world? Who's to say that China and Africa and Indonesia and Iceland all have to act like these Los Angeles hippie heads? Why? What gives them the right to push their culture onto others? When unique cultures are beautiful, and to have them all smushed into one is a shame, because there's thousands of years of evolution and history lost forever when you force everyone to act this way. You love explaining things to people, you have a hard time retaining information. Well, are you young? You sound like you're very young, and one of the things that really affects retention is things like inflammation. So first of all, try not to get drunk on weekends, whatever, you know. because if you abuse alcohol or any drugs, like it really affects your memory. So less is more. If you're gonna have a few beers, have a few. Don't have 50 because then it'll fuck up your memory and then you ruins your life. Order plants? No thanks, Will. I think you should. The big boys are trying to talk. Oh, I better change sitting. Thanks for the heads up. No, it takes a true friend to tell, right? Like if I had spinach in my face, I'd hope you'd tell me too. And maybe he's right. Maybe it did look pretty small, but it looks pretty fine when it's excited. It's just, it's not really a fair representation of my abilities. Oh, some guy was talking about how my you could see my reproductive organ through the shorts, and then it didn't look really small. And then I was saying, maybe he's right. Like it did look a bit small because of I am flaccid, and these shorts are a bit short. Probably I got them as hand-me-downs from my sister's husband. See, the beautiful thing about being on live is that you can always leave by doing this, and you'll never have to see my face ever again. Yeah, Will. I've got you kept here permanently. That's right. You're under my spell. I don't like that question and I understand it because you're not giving enough details. And I don't really care. Like, I'm not, I just exercise to like keep myself level-headed, you know? It's just like, you know, you wash your clothes, you water the pot plants and you do some weights. It's as simple as that. You brush your teeth. It's just like a standard thing you do. And you do something long enough, it becomes second nature. Like I'm not even thinking right now. I'm not putting any effort into this. Cybernetics. Zany Flash, I haven't heard of this term before, and I would like you to share it with me because I'm unfit and I'm interested. So do you mean like host? So cybernetics, the science of communication and control in living and non-living organisms. Do you mean like hosts? I talked about in Terminator. Well, in reference to Terminator, It's just that I do know from a lot of respected opinions in the IT world that the ability of AI is overinflated, and it's a fear mongering, and it's like, you know, the Great Barrier Reef. The biggest threat to the Great Barrier Reef is the reputation that it's fully dead. So the tourism industry is hindered because of the reputation, and the best thing for the Great Barrier Reef is to get more funding so they can make efforts to protect and maintain it. So same thing as AI, is that the main thing is that the job market is threatened of humans because people overinflate the ability of AI, and that computers are not close as we think they are to self-regulation and consciousness. And it's also an obsession, and also why? Because human beings are becoming so emotionally decrepit that you don't even need to have robot organisms, because the humans are becoming robotic in their thinking. Twitter, I do have a Twitter. Yeah, you can go look it up. It's called Chevy the Human. What was the other comments? System science. Do you believe that people are meant only to partner? Only meant to partner? Do you mean... Well, I do think that people work better in teams, and that humans are social creatures. And that not everyone should want to take all the limelight, because you know, it's a lot of responsibility. Let me just look at this person's account. System science. The science of communication and control in living and on living systems. The science of communication and control in living and on living systems, originating from the term steersman. Yes, it does look funny, doesn't it? I just got a little cut in my forehead. No. Buddy. You come to my house, you kick my dog. You come to my house, you kick my dog. Buddy. Yeah, well, you know what, Zany? You sound like you're pretty tech savvy to me. I am interested in many fields, and I have slipped when it comes to IT. I am behind a few decades. I kind of peaked in IT in about 2003. I knew everything about Windows back then. You function better about the distraction of others. It's a very vague comment. Do you mean, like, what, are you a writer? Are you an engineer? What is your purpose? You function better. Do you mean about overall happiness? Because also, what people think they want and what they actually want is different. See, like, you know, a child, you ask them what do they want, they'd say, I want to have unlimited amounts of chocolate cake, and I want to be able to go to bed whenever I want. And they also want to keep their parents at home, no matter what, right? Hey, 01. That's just how I communicate. Why do you want me to be the same as you? Would you feel like special if everyone acted exactly the same as you did? Are you offended that I communicate differently to you? My child gravitated to healthy foods. Yeah. Hold on, someone said something before, I didn't really understand. 2003, come on, G.
No, my children gravitated to healthy foods. What's that got to do with the fact that you function better without the distraction of others? I don't know. Do we know anything for sure? Okay, what we do know is that what we can see with our five senses, right? Everything else is just opinion. But if it's a tangible, practical, measurable with ones and zeros, that's, we know. Yeah, I've been here for a long time. Children and chocolate. Okay. Do you believe people are meant to partner? Is that related to your example, your question about your children meant to partner? I mean,
I just like long sentences, please. Fuck. Mate, I'm always here. I'll never leave, Will. I'll always be here. You'll never get rid of me. Front rotation. Oh, I can smell garlic. Darling, I've been loving you, evergreen. We found love and where I am. Darling, it's evergreen. You know what? I do have a short shoulder.
Do you believe in psychedelics help to understand yourself better? No, I mean,
I'll tell you one thing. I would say the most psychedelic I've ever is like just being like 16, 15. I just come back from Korea and I was in my grandmother's garden and I was just sitting there and all these bonsais and I was sober and I just felt like I was kind of astral projecting because I was kind of sad about leaving my El Salvadorian girlfriend behind in Korea, and I just had this really great job and he's in the background. That's the dark house, brother. This is my house. But I feel like you can have a psychedelic state sober. You don't need to take substances to be in a psychedelic state. You just need to have a really, really clear mind and power of breath and being in nature. And the most important thing is to not be afraid of the variety of emotions that you feel. You know, if sadness comes or despair, just acknowledge them, be in the moment. Yeah, but the thing is, Daniel, is that it is pushed excessively and not everyone should be doing it because a lot of people actually under the bell curve in IQ when it comes to intelligence. And if you're IQ of like 60 to 80, you should never ever be doing any psychedelics. You don't need any introspection. And if anyone is doing that, they should wait till they're 25 when they have the neural connectivity in their brain actually established first. Because the myelin sheath, which is like it's a neuroplastic matter in your brain, you haven't got the full foundations in your brain connected yet until you're 25. Cool. There's probably a lot of spiders there actually. Oh. Hope you all enjoyed the stream, and I'll probably never see you again. So have a nice life.